everyone, this is Bonita from ICOgens. So guess what? Here we have Mr. Fang from ANKR Network. So let's welcome him to the AMA today and let's see why ANKR is so popular these days. So hello, can you share some greeting with the community?
Absolutely. Hi guys, my name is Fang and I am the CEO and co-founder of ANKR Network.
Yeah, so can you share a little bit about your background and the product ANKR itself?
Absolutely. So ANKR Network strives to build a decentralized cloud computing platform on trusted hardware, utilizing a protocol we call proof of useful work. We believe that is the most resource-efficient mining way that we developed. And by using this, we can leverage the existing TEE solutions of the chip industry and basically building a hardware and software hybrid solution for the future of blockchain.
Okay, pretty cool. So you have mentioned that you are CEO of ANKR Network, right?
Yeah.
So can you share with me and the community, like how and when you come up with the idea of establishing the ANKR Network?
Yeah, so to be frank, I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm not the first person to have thought the idea of using trusted hardware to do decentralized cloud computing. The CEO, Chandler Song, he was the first person, studied blockchain for a long time as well as trusted hardware. He thought, might make sense to leverage TEE to do cloud computing, and he talked to his old boss's boss actually, the CTO, Stanley Wu, who was one of the earliest coder of Amazon EC2, along also spearheaded the Alexa ranking project at Amazon. Now they discussed together and they thought it makes sense. The whole idea of using TEE to do cloud computing. Now that's the get-go, or the genesis of the project. And I'm always more of operational or sort of a finance role in the team, as well as marketing, because I am a very trustworthy friend of Chandler. We've been together in the same dorm for 4 years. In college. He's actually the third guy I met in college.
Wow.
And 2 weeks in to college, he mentioned to me, I don't even know him that well at the time, and he said, look, Ryan, you should really buy some Bitcoin because I truly believe in the vision and I study the blockchain, etc. At the time, I really don't know much about it.
Okay, so you don't really know about Bitcoin?
Yeah,
okay.
That was 2014, and I honestly don't know too much about it. And Chandler was actually a person who introduced me to it, and together I bought 20, he bought 2, and that actually serves later on as our initial funding of the project. So we didn't have a seed investor per se. So yeah, it's been quite a journey from just the thought Chandler had, I believe it was second half of last year when he was doing it. Originally we thought it's just sort of an idea, and then I think he continuously talking to different people in the industry and finally making sense of it.
Yeah, pretty cool. Like it is kind of long but really interesting story, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So can you share with us what is ANKR and what is it applied for?
Yeah. So ANKR basically use proof of useful work to essentially realize what we called execution of code in hardware enclave, so that's testifiable, right? Basically, right now, the volunteer computing platforms or more traditional distributed computing platforms without an incentive layer, and they also, it's extremely hard to basically testify that the work is being executed, right? Now, in ANKR Network, what we do is by leveraging the TEE, we can make sure the execution, and at the same time, this can largely reduce the redundancy and largely improve the efficiency of the platform.
Yeah, so you've mentioned that if I have a computer myself, so can enjoy the network, the platform of ANKR? Yeah,
so one thing to know, many people thought Intel SGX is some specialized hardware or something that's rather rare. In fact, it's almost in every single new PC right now, as long as it has a 6th generation Intel CPU. There's SGX in there. Right now, it's already the 8th generation. And you know, in reality, if you go to a store, you purchase a PC, most likely you have a SGX in there. And as long as you have SGX in there, you will be able to join ANKR networks, you know, midnet when it's launched. Now, we believe in the future, this vision of using TE to do proof of useful work is not limited to Intel SGX. It will also apply with other TE environments. Many chip makers are coming up, you know, including mobile and potentially in the future GPUs.
Okay, great. So you have mentioned a lot of terms of the proof of useful work. So can you share a little bit about that consensus algorithm and how is it different from others?
Yeah, so I think what's different about ANKR when it comes to doing decentralized cloud computing, I think there are many great projects in the space as well. Everybody using a different approach. What we do, you know, we think is drastically different is that we don't do it on the smart contract level. We do it on the consensus level, where, you know, basically the proof of useful work is essentially, let's say, utilizing the hardware enclave as essentially like a proctor to see how many CPU instructions a CPU have done over a period of time. Yeah. Let's say there are 1,000 nodes, and all of them were able to make certain amount of CPU instructions within a certain amount of time. They will be eligible for Prism process. Now, in Prism process, the block winner is going to be generated, and it's going to get the actual mining reward. Now, everyone else will still get paid by the enterprises who provide the useful work for them to calculate.
Oh, so I'm quite curious and have more knowledge about the proof of useful work. So can you share with us some kind of strategies for further development of ANKR?
Yeah, so we already have the first version of our test network. We're already running it on 15 of our engineers' nodes. Now, it's already able to achieve very similar functionalities like AWS Lambda or Alibaba Cloud's function compute. Now, moving in the future, one important part is integrating with the Boeing community. Boeing, is a Berkeley project that's more of a volunteer-based computing platform, the largest, in fact, with more than 300K users across the globe. Now, we believe this is essentially our go-to-market channel, because I believe those 300K people already have a strong understanding of decentralized cloud computing. Now, we think that's a great starting point. From there, we're gonna focus more and more on the enterprise end, because at the end of the day, we think decentralized cloud computing is a to B, to C business, where enterprises, are to B, and different nodes, all the nodes are the to C. And in the end, we think we will work with companies, which is going to be the clients, specialize in their specific need, and making it truly a cheaper solution compared to some of the functions of centralized cloud.
Okay, great. So I think that is the last question for Mr. Ryan from ANKR. So that is all about the AMA, and I hope that you can find out more about ANKR Network and ICOgens at icogens.com. So see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Do you have any message for the community?
So our slogan is a world powered by us. I think the adoption of ANKR token in the long run is extremely important, because we believe it's going to be a utility in the long run, and it takes hundreds of thousands of nodes to run a truly decentralized supercomputer. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So see you, everyone.